Hello and welcome to the ceremony conclave, focusing on whether or not you should do a group ceremony or if doing a private solo type of ceremony would best serve you. My name is Cynthia Cremblett and I am joined here by Carla. I want to say hi, Carla.
Hey y'all, thank you for being here.
Yeah, so we're excited to share with you all a bit about our personal and professional perspectives on ceremony and what might be right for you. But before we dive into that information, just want to welcome you if you're joining us for the first time. We are a part of the team at the Church of the Sacred Synthesis. This church focuses on education, harm reduction, and access to sacrament in a safe, healthy, and happy way. We host conclaves every Thursday under a variety of categories, which you can tune into. In addition to that, we welcome you in as a new member with new member orientation. We have integration calls once a month, and we are also offering virtual ceremonies at this time that you can tune into and would love to have you in any way that feels best and nourishing. As far as things to look forward to, starting October 5th, that will be our next virtual ceremony where you can register and join us live or catch the recording if that suits your schedule a bit better. And as I said, every week we have our conclaves tuning in and showing up. So I am ready to dive into this topic. How do you feel about that, Carla?
I am totally ready. I think
Amazing.
it's very important. So, yes.
Yeah, it is really important. You and I both had experience with facilitating and participating in both options. So I'm curious what your perspectives are on why this conversation is so important.
So, I think, well, I know from experiencing private and group ceremonies with, different sacraments and mainly with ours, they've been the depth and the openness and the tailoredness and the attention and support put on you in a private ceremony on me, it's the same for everybody. In a private way, it's just different and it relaxes you a little bit more for me. And in group, it's beautiful as well because you can sort of celebrate together and dance together and be vulnerable together in a very emotional way, right? And so it's just both of them are such a beautiful energy, but there are times when one's better than the other.
Right, right. And part of our belief system here as an organization and as a church is to help membership and people discern what's right for them in the moment, whether that is working with a particular sacrament in a particular way. We happen to be a church that works with Psilomethoxin and 5-MeO-DMT. And sometimes you want to work with one in a bigger way or more soft way or whatever have you, right? And the same goes towards the group experience. Like you said, you can celebrate together, you're in this shared energy, which we'll get into in a little bit of time. But sometimes you might want a little bit of privacy or need to move through something. And the private ceremony just seems to be more necessary in some ways. I'd like to echo your perspective that there's no better way, there's only the right way for each individual, right? Situation and intention. So that makes great sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Exactly.
Yeah. So as far as group ceremonies, what's your perspective on what they provide for both the new person who's new to ceremonies and working with psychedelics and sacraments versus, someone who's
Yeah.
seasoned?
Yeah. So for group ceremonies, first of all, are such a beautiful blend of energies and of vulnerable support and holding space for each other. There seems to be this thing that happens where someone there, or many people there, depending on how big the thing is, someone there will sort of either mirror what you're going through or mirror um, in the opposite way. Right. For example, I went through some years of addiction. I decided to let my child live with my parents, right? So that a child there could be a woman there that was the child and I'm the mama, right? And so we get to sort of, it's a mirror, but the opposite. And so lets me see into my child's life. Right? And so it's just that sort of thing. The beauty of ceremony, of group ceremony for me, is that the vulnerability, the way that you don't even literally have to speak the same language, but you understand each other, and you just, it's an honoring of each person at that place. To me, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And so for the newer person, the group might help as far as making you feel safe. Like you just come together in a different way when you're in a group ceremony. The energies collide and sort of flow with each other, which could be messy too, and we'll get into that later as well, I think, probably.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into the collisions that can occur. I believe every decision has the possibility of fangs, but it also has the possibility of big kisses, right? Or sometimes both. And that's kind of where we're at, right? Is like weighing the pros and the cons, and just feeling into our own intuitive guidance. So I love when you talk about the new participant has some structure. So with a facilitator's guidance in a space of a group, there tends to be helpers. So not just the person, the medicine facilitator, shaman, what have you, medicine provider, but there's usually others there to offer up that support beyond those who are working with the sacraments at the same time. So I love that. Simultaneously is almost like a hand holding experience where there might be some other newbies, and the newbies can then talk to those participants who are a bit more seasoned and have some a little longer in the tooth when working with sacraments and psychedelics. So they can maybe have a little bit of their nerves calm down a little bit, and they feel like, especially with other newbies, oh, we're going on this adventure together. We're not alone in this. You're new too. I think many of us can understand that perspective, even if we've never worked with psychedelics in any type of way. Many of us have been new to many spaces and places and thought we were the only new person there. But then when you meet someone else who is in that same boat, there's almost like an instant bond that is formed. And I think that's a benefit of going to a group ceremony and just having that camaraderie that's instantaneous.
That last one, the way that you walk in and you just automatically, it's like automatically it's a little family.
Hmm.
There's never.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the shared energy, right? So depending on the type of ceremony that a person is choosing to participate in with a group, some churches or organizations, practitioners now are having calls or meetings beforehand. So you start to build up that sense of community already, and the energy starts to circulate between each other. And before my last group ceremony, which was 6 months, 7 months ago, I actually was having in my one of my meditations visions of every single face that was going to be in the circle with me. And I was being guided to do like energy work on the container and like swirl some things around, and I was feeling it all. And so that tells me we are not even in the medicine yet, but we're in the energetics of the container. And that can be really powerful. In that same ceremony, I was both inspired and uplifted, but also, as you said in the beginning, there was this triggering effect that occurred. And I thankfully had and have the awareness that when I am triggered or I don't like something or I feel like I'm being mistreated, there's medicine in it for me, especially in the container of a ceremony. And it was propelling me towards an obstacle that I needed to move past, a step higher into a sense of self empower and feeling like it doesn't matter what people think who are around me. I'm going to be my biggest self. I'm going to be my most expressed self and let them watch was kind of the energy. And for those of us who have some injury around being seen, we want to hide our light, being misunderstood, especially in our power, it might feel like you want to dim yourself in a ceremony space, or you might be encouraged sometimes not to sing or not to do certain things, which I would like to get into that with you to that particular point. We can also be a place where you're actually celebrated and invited in. Like for me, the facilitator asked me to sing with her, and I hadn't sang in front of people since I was in elementary school. There was a wounding there, and all I wanted to do was sing in front of everyone. And now I don't stop singing, right? So it was an opening, and it inspired other people to sing and share their voices and to be in that celebration of song, which again is that collective energy. Had I know I'm talking about my perspective here, but I think it can be beneficial. Is having made that choice to look at the container where I could close, I had to make a choice. Do I want to close myself or do I want to open? And because I chose to open, it allowed, I believe, a permission slip for other people to open as well. And I'm sure other people were having their own journeys and energetically they were choosing an open, which inspired my opening. And I love the it's almost like we're an orchestra that is playing. Like there's a maestro, and the maestro is the medicine in conjunction with our own energy, and we're all just playing in this beautiful performance together in ceremony, and it create deep bonds that last forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Many of them. The I guess the way I feel about different ways of being in ceremony, allowing yourself to open up. So I do agree with that completely. Everything you said. However, I do believe that there are some moments that could be, and not shamefully, but could be taken into a different space. And I've seen these moments, and we've had many of these moments as facilitators, but you can be taken into a special space that's already made up for a special situation that may occur, right? Whatever that it is, like, and so, just so that everyone in the space is fully comfortable, we normally will take a person that's having a deep, deep experience, regardless of what it looks like, to the little gazebo outside by the fire and be there with them. But there's enough of us where that's okay. Like people can stay in. There's helpers inside and us outside. It's fine. Yeah. So just because there are so many people that are there's so many women, and it's not fair to people that aren't. It's really not fair to people that aren't, because like for me, like personally, I am so okay with anything that happens in ceremony. However, there are people that have like, maybe there's husband and wife that may be there together that have like problems, and it's a whole big thing, and who knows what's happening. We just don't know everybody's what's going on in their mind. So I feel like we need to be a little safe when it comes to people's feelings with certain things.
I think you're talking more so from the facilitator's lens, which I think is
Yes.
really beautiful and important. And that's something I forgot to mention in the beginning for everyone. So this is great. It's perfect timing. Is that we're actually going to have a part two of this conversation where we're going to go into a facilitator perspective and the why around the recommendations and why certain things happen in a group ceremony that may not happen in a private ceremony or vice versa. And I think you alluded to that quite clearly. We have it's very nuanced and complex, all of this, right? And that's where I think group is different than private. Is if and I if I may, from my own experience, I have worked with sacraments on my own, and there's certain energies that I'm like, I would rather be by myself in working with this energy versus and big medicines where I want to be in a container that's held and in the ceremony of other people. As I have unlocked myself and become freer and freer, I'm feeling most of the time more compelled to be alone because there's expressions and things that I want to do that, to your point, others might be super triggered by and uncomfortable with. And because I care about where they're at in their journey, I'm wise enough to know, like, oh, this may not be the best place. Even though in my deepest, deepest soul, my personal belief is we need to trigger the shit out of each other when we're in containers sometimes, because by not, by like holding back, it's not illuminating and bringing forward whatever they need to see. However, it's very complicated. So what I'm seeking now in my own experience and is bringing together, you mentioned like women to come together. We're going to do this next week, is come together and have ceremony, and I'm going to be encouraging them to
Yes.
come forward to show the goddess from within, like let her emerge. And because of the nuance of society and the nuance of sexuality and gender and attraction and and relationships, it's hard and it's muddy. And I think the last thing anybody wants to have happen in ceremony or at the end of a weekend of ceremony is like have everyone blown out, everyone upset, like things being strange. And that, I think that's a really big concern that many people have, and why there's so much nuance and navigation and structure put into a lot of ceremony. And I think that can serve especially the newer people who are newer to psychedelics, as they're just getting used to the journey, the energetics, being in an altered state might be very, very new for someone. So being within those safe, really safe containers, especially with strangers, might be a good thing, right? Might be a very good thing. But I think as you evolve as a woman who gets into the energetics of these things and in your own spirit outside of working with medicine, I believe that there can be containers that are group that are a little bit more liberated. It's just finding them, having these conversations beforehand, and knowing that you're moving into an energetic portal that you're all opening together and holding yourself radically responsible for that choice that you made to go into that container. Just my personal perspective. So I just know as an individual, I'm like, one time I got naked and I fought it. I fought it the whole time. I was like, nope. I remember I was being like shaken by the energy, and I could hear this voice like saying, "This is what you need to do." And I was like, I'd already taken off all the clothes I could take off, other than this like shawl I had on. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I kept getting this nudge, like, you need to leave the circle. You need to go stand outside in the sunshine. And I had enough wits about me where I'm like, I'd listen to what the rules were, and I also know about like leaving the circle and how that kind of changes the energy of the space. I'm like, okay, if I leave the circle, I can go out to this one point, but I can't leave the porch. But I need to stand in the sun. So I was analyzing everything. And when I went outside, Carla, I was like, okay. And I stood there for a while. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And finally I heard like, you were being reanointed back into your priestesshood. You need to do this if you want to come back into this energy. And I was like, okay. And then I did that. I just stood there. I didn't like, I think sometimes we worry about, especially women, and I'd love to go there with you. Like there's big erotic energy that can come through us many times. And I didn't do anything erotic. I just stood there. It was like a little sliver furthest away from the window where the fewest people possible could see me, and just stood in the sun and like let it wash over me. And then there was this whole catalyst that happened thereafter where I was like, someone came out to cover me, and I felt shame. And I got angry because I'm like, this is bullshit. This is just the feminine body. Why are we all so afraid of a naked body? I'm not doing anything. I'm just standing here. In my own work, it was a big working moment for me. And then that woman who came to cover me, she and I actually have become very, very, very close friends. And when I went back inside, I was still experiencing some shame around it. But what I saw afterwards was other people started to go outside and take their clothes off and stand in the sun,
That's
right?
right.
And then at the very end of that weekend of ceremony, I was getting ready to drive away, and someone stopped my car and said, "Hey, by the way," he went into what he experienced by witnessing me just standing there naked, what that meant for him, and how he came to some really big realizations about how he was treating the feminine his entire life, and how he wanted to convert lust now. Like, I don't want to lust after women. I don't want to use them as vessels for my own pleasure. I actually want to love them. So that was to me like, wow, how
Um,
powerful can that be? So that's a kind of an example of how like seeing something that would trigger a lot of people, created shame in me. I resisted it, but still went forward. How it impacted others in some beautiful ways. That being said, it didn't feel good to me. Going through that, it's like, oh, I'm doing what I'm told by this medicine, this energy, my higher self. And I think many people, if they had chosen to go into a private space, could still have a really big activation through that energy. They just may not have impacted anyone else directly within the ceremony.
mhm.
Also perfect.
Yeah, totally. Many times, well, it could be as a participant or facilitator. Many times in both roles, I will go outside and just at some part of the night, and I'll just be ready to just cleanse, and I'll just take everything off and stand by the fire and sort of let it cleanse me. Um, and and there's so many times where the permission slips of completely getting naked, and it's so funny. One I'm just gonna share with you one time after a ceremony. At the very end, it was like, "Close the thing, it's done, okay, we can go to bed now." One of the girls just jumped up, and I had never even met her, it was my first time, she was so cute. She just jumped up, started tearing everything off, and jumped in the lake. There was a lake next to us, and she jumped in the lake, and all the girls looked at each other and just did, bam! We all just did it. I mean, what a beautiful, and then the rest of the weekend, the men sort of gave us the pool area so that we could
Mhm,
just be naked alone, the
mhm.
girls, like, it's so cool when guys can we can sort of, not that you can't be together, but maybe you don't want to or whatever, like, there can just be arrangements made in those spaces, like, I believe, that are very, very open, like that.
Definitely. And that, again, this is such a nuanced conversation. I feel like I kind of drove us into the deeper aspect of some challenging moments that can occur, especially with nudity, or in some people, there's some sensuality that emerges, or others aggression and
Yes.
more like danger, right? And you got to move everybody out of the container. Whereas if that person had been in a private container, then it wouldn't have made everyone have to move, kind of jolted them. And sometimes you don't know how a person's going to respond in ceremony, right? You don't know how you're going to respond.
Totally random,
Uh-huh.
totally unpredictable. We just no matter what, if it's the anger issue coming up, which it has been many times outside, same thing. Same thing is the same thing.
That's something you mentioned. Like a lot of times there's like a safe zone, or like a quiet, not the quiet, I mean, called the quiet room, or like the dark room, or whatever, or the place outside where people can go and be in their experience in a bigger way, and still be watched over by a sitter of some sort.
Yeah. And many times if it's raining, the females, like, I will want to go outside and take off my clothes and enjoy it's just a thing, like, there are reasons and legit, like, things that, like, and it ends up all the girls end up coming outside, everybody starts doing, or go and play in the mud.
Mhm.
One person goes play in that mud, everybody's gonna play in the mud. It's legit, just a permission slip for everybody to play at some points and to cleanse at some points and,
Yeah,
you know
definitely, definitely. And I love that there's that invitation to, like, let's play. And part of opening ourselves up and getting purging out some of these densities is it brings us back into our state of enjoyment and connection with nature, with ourselves, with our sensuality, with each other, and invites in, I like that you're saying permission slip, a permission slip to play, to touch, to be in an experience. And that can happen in a group environment where someone, it's like a conversation. Like you might be talking about something specific, something really specific, and then it brings up an idea in another, and that person kind of alters the direction of the conversation just based on a little point that they had that was in connection with that specific topic. And then next thing you know, you're veering over here, and then you're veering over there, and it's like this really beautiful journey that you all get to go on. With that being said, the facilitator, the shaman, medicine carrier, they tend to, if they hold a really good container, can see where energy might be going and redirect it back into the space. And I look at them as kind of like the shepherds of the experience, and we're the flock of sheep, right? And there's different types. Some sheep are really scared and they want to stay together, huddled. And then there's like the rainbow black sheep that you and I are, and we want to like dance out here and explore the edges, and some want to come with us, right? And that kind of brings, we might find greener pastures, and that kind of brings the group a little bit. But if the facilitator thinks, oh, this is, you're going way too far out, you're in the danger zone, kind of shepherd everyone kind of back together. The flock has now moved in a certain path.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to be able to go in and out. It's good to be able to do, have a fire outside and have the inside as well. That way, it's sort of like the space is there and here. It's all the space.
Definitely. So there's so many beautiful things about having group healing, facilitation, and safety, the ritual of ceremony, which you can still have all that ritual just individually, right? Or in a much smaller private container. Absolutely, that can happen. And then we've talked about it, like with the challenges of the ceremony is there's less privacy. There can be energetic overlap with emotions and energies. Tune into several of our energy conclaves where we've talked about energy and ceremonies and just general energy work that you can bring in to your ceremony experiences to not be so stuck with other people's. And then timing. A lot of times when you're in a group setting, the container is set for what it is. You might still be deep in the medicine or in your experience and kind of being called out of it. And however many times in groups, some consideration for people who might be deeper in the medicine still, where it allows you to kind of stay in, but you're going to be influenced, or maybe you're out of the medicine sooner and you kind of just need to be in the container, which is a part of that agreement, right? We're in a community, so we have to support each other wherever we're at, but it's not just on your timeline, your schedule.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Most ceremonies I've experienced have been overnight, so I don't think I've ever, like, come home from a ceremony in the middle of the night.
No, and I don't mean it like that. I mean, yeah, I don't mean it like that. What I'm referring to is in the circle space, like when the
Oh, I
container
got you.
is open or when it might close, like the candle's been blown out, but you might still be in
Right,
the
right.
process.
Then you
Um,
just get to go to bed and do it.
I just that, or even in a beautiful ceremony that I was a participant of, the ceremony space was a different space than the actual accommodations. So I and a few other participants were able to stay for several hours and still stay in our process. But medicines really impact me deeply. So, and I know there's a lot of sensitive people out there where you're not ready to be moved. You're not ready to go eat a meal. You're not ready to talk, which illuminates still that freedom of choice in exercising what you need. So don't feel like if you go into a group container that if you're not hungry, if you're not ready to talk or you don't want to share your experience and everyone else is sharing and communing, you can lovingly say, "Hey, I'm just still processing, not ready to share." You can still honor your own individual needs despite being within that.
Yeah, totally. Like, I'll share a little bit on that because for years I wouldn't sing or, going back to your singing, it's funny, but I do not have a good voice as far as what other people would think is a good singing voice. My voice is kind of deep, whatever. So didn't sing forever. I was always told I had a terrible voice. My whole family, everybody. So anyway, the beauty of ceremony is that I was always encouraged to sing a song or to play a drum or to do a something, even when I was a beginner. Always encouraged to do something. And so finally, years later, I finally sang my first song in ceremony and I was terrified. And it was so scary. And now I just want to sing all the time too. I wanted to share that with you. I forgot what we were even talking about, but I wanted to share that with you because it's stuck in my mind from when you shared that. It's such a safe space. No one will judge your voice. Your voice is just your voice. It's who you are, right? It's just a piece of you. It doesn't matter what it comes out as. And that
And it can rewire your belief system around various aspects of yourself, right? To be celebrated and in those experiences of total radical acceptance, especially with the voice, like it unlocks something when people celebrate your singing, your sharing, your poetry, your music playing, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm glad that you took that beautiful step for yourself and for others. It's very powerful. Yeah. And then lastly, before we close out, you just many times develop really deep connections and friendships with the people that you journey with. So that's not for nothing.
I mean, it's like you get these relationships that it almost seems like you've been friends for a year. It's like one weekend can
Yeah,
turn into like someone so well from that whole experience. It's so
precisely.
beautiful. That's my preferred way of doing ceremony now.
Hmm. Beautiful.
However, private's beautiful too.
And that's what I want to dive into because we've really shared a lot about the group, and now we'll touch in a bit more about the benefits and challenges of being in a private ceremony. So maybe Carly, you'd like to lead the way and
Good. I mean, okay, as from a participant's point, I have to focus here. From a participant's point, if I was having, so the difference is this, the facilitator or facilitators are completely focused on you. There's energy work and different things that can happen that we can think you're seeing more in all of your energetics when it's just one person, like wow, or even one or two, even a semi-private is great. But let's talk about private. So having just one person, having just yourself there, they can see you clearly. They can handle things that are happening. They can help you when needed. They'll see only you. It's so beautiful. All of the things that you need to say, you can just bam, blurt it out. In ceremony, in group, it's hard. People really don't want you to talk a lot, and don't mess up somebody else. Don't interrupt someone else's. I get all that, but What if you could just blurt out whatever you wanted and that was okay? Or anything, whatever however the medicine takes you, if you are completely open to it, it can take you many deep, deep places. There's nothing to pay attention to when you're by yourself. There's no people out there to be like, oh, what's that person going through? Or this person. It's just you. So it's a depth. There's a depth to it and an intimacy to it that is not like any other thing. I don't believe that from my experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really valid point. Not to go back to group, but that's part of the challenge with some group containers where there's this languaging and expectation around don't be disruptive to others. My challenge with that is that we're opening ourselves up.
Yeah.
The world is constantly telling us don't be disruptive to others, be considerate of others. But yet I need to do my healing, which is why if you're in that space where you're like, I fucking need to experience and express the way I need to do this and I don't want to consider others and be in that container of like, don't tell me not to be disruptive, then private is probably the best space and place for you. Or if you're scared and you want to be a little bit more handheld and you want that personalized attention, I think is fantastic. You're right. Like seeing the energetics, being seen in your energetics in totality without the bleeding coming over from others can be magical. And talking about like tailored experience, the duration might be it'll be whatever it needs to be for you.
It is.
It needs to be worked with for your particular energy and emotions. And like there's a great adjustment that can be made to support your specific intentions. And beyond that, like you can be really confident in like your story and emotions and breakthroughs staying private, even though in group containers I've never had the sanctity of a container broken before. I'm sure it has been, but if that's a fear for you, doing a private might be a great way to dip your toes into it and really have that confirmed experience. I think it's just more easily able, as you said, to express yourself through vocalization, through movement, through whatever have you. There's a lot more freedom.
I can tell you this. That's going back to a facilitator's point of view, but I'm gonna say this real quick. More depth. Never seen. Private ceremonies are always way bigger, way, way bigger for some strange reason for that person
Mm,
in all the ways. It's
yeah.
like they can, literally talk about anything that they want, if they kind of come back, you can like, this is happening and that you can actually get real time in the with the sacrament and the facilitators complete. It's just so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's focused. I love that. It's just very focused.
Mhm.
The facilitators are focused on you fully. That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. And I think when you're in, again, kind of reflecting back to the group container, you find the people that are in alignment with the energetics of the things you need to discuss. We all have little nuggets for each other, and we're kind of leading each other down the path. But with professionals focused directly on you, it can be extremely expansive as well. So moving out of that, I mean, I love both. I really love both. I love them both. So it really is hard for me to say. There's no way to say which one's better than the other. It's really about what is needed by my spirit at this time and trusting the energetics of the world to have everything lined up for you. That being said, there's challenges to everything, like I mentioned, and some of the challenges around a private ceremony for some might be the cost. As we all know, when we're splitting the cost between each other, that can drive the pricing down. But if you're paying for a facilitator's time, that's going to just to focus on you. That's going to require that you pay a bit more. Yeah, yeah.
And then just another thing I want to add real quick is just well, this is just my belief and my perspective. I would really, if it's private, make sure that you really trust that facilitator. Don't, I wouldn't go to somebody I don't know, just me and that person under any type, make sure that you feel safe because I mean because there are definitely I've heard many, stories about people spending time with people alone and just not you have to make sure that I would make sure that the person that's serving that sacrament is I feel comfortable with, safe with. It's someone that I could fully open up to completely.
Right. Well, that's a beautiful point. So here we're talking about the harm reduction, right? So harm reduction being doing your homework, getting to know the facilitator before you work with them. I think it's very important to have some calls, communication beforehand. Referrals are always wonderful. And sometimes you can have a sitter of your own come and be with you in ceremony, knowing that that's still, if they're not working with the energy, or if they are working with the energy of the sacrament, that can still alter your experience. So do you want that as well? But if you feel safe and trusted in your medicine person, then you can deepen into your experience in a really great way. Whew, yeah, it's just having again that level of autonomy and audacity and self-trust to choose the right person to work with. Absolutely. And that goes beyond sacrament and medicine work. That's really with anything in life, and knowing that you have the autonomy of choice and to shop around, and to know that sometimes a person might be charging you more money because they have a deeper level of skill. You're not always just paying for that time on that day. You're also paying for all of the wisdom and the knowledge, the experience, the trainings that that person has undergone throughout the duration of their time on this planet. So keep that in mind as well as you're choosing what's best for you. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think we've done a really good job at covering everything.
Yeah, I think I just want to touch into just the last bit of our notes here. Yeah, so we kind of touched on why the private ceremonies are really good. Um, And I just want to invite everyone into just tuning into your own sense of self, what feels the best. If you're not familiar with like a muscle testing to help you make choices, there's this amazing book called Emotion Code that can teach you about not just emotions locked in the body, but it'll also teach you how to lean into your higher self's wisdom. Many people work with a pendulum. It's similar to that until you can train yourself to really trust what is best, what is highest. And if you all ever need support in that way, I encourage you to email our team. The email address is info@thesacredsynthesis.com. And before we close out, Carla, is there anything you want to share about group or private ceremony specifically?
No, I believe that I shared everything that I have. Just know that I believe that they are both beautiful. If I believe that there's going to be a big messy process, like something's really happening, I would personally choose private. Other than that, for me, group is my go-to because I like the celebration and the ceremony.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Beautiful. I love that. So well said. So, friends, please tune in next month to the Ceremony Conclave. That will be part 2 of this discussion, where we're diving more so into the facilitator's perspective, not just sharing perspective on what a person who's choosing should select, but maybe how you can guide someone who's coming to you to which container is best suited for them. I look
Oh,
forward to diving into that with you next month, Miss Carla.
all right.
And again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Just a reminder, our next virtual ceremony is going to be October 5th. You can find that at www.jaguar, low-5 /Jaguar. It'll be in the show notes like down below that you can tune in. Additionally, we are putting together a curiosity compilation, essentially like a little form that you all can fill out that will be at the bottom of this video, that is inquiring if you want to join us for an in-person ceremony. Our sacraments are Psilomethoxin and 5-MeO-DMT. Beautiful container that we are starting to organize for the year 2026. So you can just scroll down and see ceremony 2026. And if you're interested and want to be the first to find out when that ceremony is going to happen, please just give us your email address and we will let you know when when the time comes to fully announce what we have cooking up. And yeah, we'll see you at the other conclaves. If you're new to the Sacred Synthesis, please join the new member orientation. And until we see you again, love you and have a great day.
Thank you.